Minecraft's updates over the past few years have been very well received, and for good reason. Additions as small as chest boats all the way to things like the Warden have encapsulated the community and helped to improve what is now the most popular game of all time. But despite Minecraft's great success, one thing that neither the community or the developers can agree on is the combat. While the combat changes introduced in 1.9 ultimately expanded the game into a more casual audience and helped to improve its popularity, it also sparked one of the greatest debates in Minecraft's history. In this video, and in our mod, Wanderers, we're going to pick apart the various issues with Minecraft's combat system and showcase the things and changes that we've made that, while not renovating the combat completely, will hopefully improve the combat experience. Welcome back to another Wanderers devlog. Before we get into this video, we're starting off this month's devlog with a surprise announcement. Wanderers is getting its first playable demo, Enter the Dojo. Our new demo will see the player able to test out our new combat abilities in various different arenas, where you'll encounter waves of new enemy types, made to demonstrate our advanced entities. As we work on the combat and receive community feedback, we'll continue updating Enter the Dojo with new features and allow our community early access to combat features. Another surprise announcement, the Wanderers team will be doing a Q&A event on our Discord server. To submit a question for us, or if you're interested in joining our community, join our Discord using the link on screen or in the description. Our team will be present to react and answer community questions about the final mod, and the video is coming this month. Join now to submit your question and be featured in the video. In the last devlog, we went through all of our proposed combat changes. Since we're releasing our new demo soon, we figured it would be nice to show their implementation in-game, and have a quick refresher on how our new combat will work, starting with the bows. Bows have been heavily ignored by Mojang, and considering how invaluable they are to combat, they deserve to have more uses. In the spirit of this, we've decided to make bows encompass their own fleshed out playstyle of ranged combat, changing how players think about movement and attacks while fighting their opponents. Here's some footage to show the difference. Normal bows will behave normally, albeit with a slightly lower damage value to accommodate for higher tiers. Iron and copper bows will behave roughly the same, again with higher damage and slightly faster draw times. However, gold bows and above will fire 2 arrows. Their damage will be lower to add up to a greater total. The different tiers will have a varying accuracy and draw times that will not be as high as the iron and copper bows to maintain balance. Shields haven't changed in appearance or tiers, but are now equipped with an added ability, the Shield Bash. While blocking, you're granted a short window to knock back an opponent with greater force, creating distance between you and your attacker. In a fight, this time is vital as it gives you an opportunity to eat or use other items that can aid you in battle. However, to get this ability, you need an enchantment, simply named Bash. Another enchantment exists called Puncture, which will execute the same attack. However, Puncture does not knock the opponent back. Instead, it keeps them in the same place that they were, and does significant damage to them. Though, if the Puncture ability is used incorrectly, it can end in an ugly situation with you bringing yourself right to an opponent. The 2 new armor sets that we've added in Wanderers, along with Netherite, allow the player to execute 3 different movement abilities. Each one is unique to its armor set and requires the entire set to be worn to be able to use it. They are designed mainly to incentivize different abilities for exploration and make discovering new locations more fun, as well as having different combat uses. The Dash. The Lurker set, which originates from material mined in the end, will allow the player the ability to quickly burst in any direction, away from an attacker or towards a target. In terms of movement, the Dash will allow the player to cross large gaps and ravines and perform sequence jumps that are otherwise impossible. Hover. Harnessing the power of the Blaze, the Netherite armor will allow you to hover for a short time. Whether you use it to glide over a short distance or to quickly drop down on an enemy, it is incredibly useful and it will allow for some great vertical movement capabilities. The Tunnel. Similarly to the Warden, the Skulk armor will allow you to tunnel into the ground for a short period and reappear in a different location. In movement, this can be used to tunnel under a wall and appear on the other side, or you can sneak through an ancient city undetected.
Next up, let's look at enemies. No matter how good the player is, if the enemies are too slow, the combat will feel unengaging. For Wanderers, we designed 3 original enemy types as a proof of concept. They're not only as capable as the player, but they're also just as responsive. They'll be able to counter your attacks and quickly follow up with their own. In our demo, Enter the Dojo, his name is the Brawler. The Brawler comes in 3 variants. The Boxer fights using his fists and isn't afraid to get up close. He'll drive forward aggressively, but when attacked, he can quickly block. If you strike uncontrollably, you'll be easily caught by his parry. The Swatter wields a short bat. While his weapon is small, it can be very dangerous. He swings heavily and leads his attacks for harder blows that deal more damage. He has the strength to take down your shield if you aren't careful. It can push you back in a second. The Stick Fighter wields a long staff. His hits deal less damage, but he's far greater in speed. He can easily combo you if he's not kept in check, as his speed makes him a dangerous foe. These enemies come in different variants. Here are the Fight Club variants that are dressed in more crude fashion akin to that of the Piglins. They'll fight the same, and hopefully make for much more engaging foes than those in the base game. Their concepts will be reused for our enemies later down the line, who will be responsive and intelligent to make for a more fun experience.
Now that we've gone over all of the new combat abilities, tell us what you think in the comments. Our demo will be available soon, where you'll be able to test them for yourself against our unique enemies. Next, let's move into our new boss content. We have some exciting renders to show you, and some lore reveals that will change the story that you know. Firstly, the Giant and Protector now have full models and textures. The Protector, based off of the Ent's original Shulker species, has a large body that lacks legs. Using their almost telekinetic ability to control their shells, the Protector wraps his arms to stand and walk, as well as attack the player. His large stature allows him to tower over the player, and the control of his shells gives him precise awareness of his entire body. The Giant is a hulking beast, towering several blocks higher than the player. His mutation has caused several deformities throughout his body, and as the broken chain suggests, the attempts to contain him were to no avail. The player is tasked with defeating the Giant to stop the ensuing chaos that will come about as a result of his escape. Though considering his immense size, his fight will be a difficult one. Secondly, the Hunter has received a complete redesign to be more fitting with the lore. His body is covered in this render, but in game, his condition will be revealed. As the former king of the Piglins, he will do anything in his disheveled state to return to normal, even if his recovery means negligence to his empire. Fitted with his signature gold mask, he covers himself in gold jewelry to suppress the illness that has taken over his body. The Enchanter has been rewritten and received some new story background. In Wanderers, the Enchanter is an illager of unknown nature. His pale skin associates him with the illagers, causing him to be an outcast from any villages that he tried to seek refuge in. In retaliation, he uses his abilities to take command of the illager army, commandeering the infamous pirates to aid him in his quest. His goals are ambiguous, but what is clear is the destruction that he's caused in his wake attempting to reach them. The Ender Dragon has been retextured and giving a more menacing appearance. Not native to the End, its skin sports a purple tint. However, it still shows signs that it is succumbing to the effects of the End's environment, retaining its bright eyes from the original model. The Dragon's Return is one that causes massive changes in the world of Minecraft, and one that sets in motion the story of Wanderers. Lastly, we want to showcase some new mobs that have been added to Wanderers, courtesy of our new artist and lead animator, Seb Confused. The Deer is a new passive mob that will spawn in heavily wooded biomes, notably the Birch Forest, Taiga, and Cherry Grove. They spawn in large packs, and they will drop leather upon death, providing an alternative source for hide collection. The more notable mob is the Horned Frog. This large creature will spawn by itself in jungles and swamp biomes. It is based off of real horned frogs depicted in a larger, more fantastic light. Its powerful hind legs allow it to jump very high, and it sports large eyes on top of its head. Its friendly demeanor makes it a perfect mob to call the jungle and swamp its home. That's all for this month. Let us know what you thought about this in the comments. If you want to keep up with our project, make sure you subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed. If you're interested in our community, you can join our Discord by clicking the link in the description, or you could also follow our Twitter. Make sure to post any questions that you want answered in our Q&A channel on our Discord. Don't forget to come back in September for Devlog number 4. I'm Tetrazona, and I'll see you next month with more Wanderers news.